I'd like to call to order the City Caucus meeting for Monday, October 28th, 2024. We have 3 public hearings this evening. If the clerk could please read.
Public hearing number 1 regarding establishing a temporary moratorium until February 11, 2025 on the submission and processing of building permits, certificate of occupancy, certificate of use, and land use approvals of cannabis establishments within the city of Schenectady.
Public hearing number 2.
Public hearing number 2 regarding creating a new section 248-11N of the Schenectady City Code and amending section 228-19 of the Schenectady City Code, vehicle and traffic matters, and streets and sidewalks.
Public hearing number 3.
Public hearing number 3, amending section 138-2C of Article 1, 138-23B of Article 4, 138-43B of Article 8, 138-84H of Article 15, 151-9A of Article 2, 151-9E of Article 2, 167-14D of Article 2, 18310 of Article 2, 210-14A of Article 3 of the Schenectady City Code.
Thank you. We have 16 items for original consideration. If the clerk could please read item number 1.
Item number 1 for final consideration, an ordinance pursuant to Section 36 of the Second-Class Cities Law and Article 6 of the Charter of the City of Schenectady, approving and adopting the proposed operating budget for 2025 and authorizing the appropriations therein enumerated.
Ms. Tutoro? Roll call by Mr. Tutoro. Item number 2.
Item number 2 for final consideration, an ordinance to amend Section 248-2, Article 1 of the Schenectady City Code, Vehicle and Traffic General Provisions.
Discussed in committee with objection on consent. Item number 3.
Item number 3 for final consideration, an ordinance to amend Section 92-7 of the Charter of Chapter 92 of the Schenectady City Code.
Discussed in committee with objection on consent. Item number 4.
Item number 4 for final consideration, an ordinance amending City Code 144-14C, Article 2 of Chapter 144 of the Schenectady City Code.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 5.
Item number 5 for original consideration, a resolution calling for a public hearing to amend Section Chapter 161 of the Schenectady City Code to include specific fees for the collection of solid waste items and the requirements for collection.
Discussed in committee with objection on consent. Item number 6.
Item number 6 for original consideration, a resolution calling for a public hearing for a Restore New York grant application for the former St. Clair's Hospital at 600 McClellan Street, Schenectady, New York.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 7.
Item number 7 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept $5,000 in Justice Action Grant award monies for the Schenectady Police Department.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 8.
Item number 8 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Schenectady to conduct research analysis on wages for city management employees.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 9.
Item number 9 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the sale of 28 Steuben Street for $3,000.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 10.
Item number 10 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the sale of 609 Bluff Avenue for $18,000.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 11.
Item number 11 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the sale of 822 Pennsylvania Avenue for $20,000.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 12.
Item number 12 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the sale of 2406 Campbell Avenue for $102,500.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 13.
Item number 13 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the settlement of a claim by Progressive as subagree of Renee S. Janak.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 14.
Item number 14 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing settlement of a claim by Foremost Insurance Group as subagree of Pauline Phillipson.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 15.
Item number 15 for original consideration, a resolution recognizing the musicians of Malwick.
This item will be taken out of order and presented by Councilmember Patrick. Item number 16.
Item number 16, under contract and supply, a resolution awarding the bid and contract for the purchase of personal protective equipment, turnout gear.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. And I just want to remind everyone there is another ceremonial resolution that we passed the last cycle and would be presented tonight to Mr. James Thomas. If there's nothing more to come before the City Caucus, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Ms. Patrick, second by Mr. Mudavaren. All those in favor? Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you. I'd like to call the City Council meeting to order for Monday, October 28th, 2024. And tonight, we do not have anyone here for the prayer invocation, so I just ask anyone to stand and just have a moment of silence and commune with the God of your understanding. Thank you very much. I'd like to ask Chief Marino to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. If the clerk could please complete the roll call.
Ms. Totoro? Mr. Farley? Mr. Mancini? Mr. Mudavaren? Ms. Patrick? Here. Mr. Williams? Ms. Porterfield?
Here. This time we'll do our out of order resolutions. I ask Mr. Mudavaren to please take the dais. Thank you. Thank you. I'd ask Mr. Thomas to please join me behind the rail. Right over here where I am. Should have worn my heels tonight. May I have the floor?
Yes.
Thank you. Tonight, there's a resolution recognizing James D. Thomas, Jr. Whereas James D. Thomas, Jr. was born and raised in Schenectady, New York, and graduated from Hargrave Military Academy in Chatham, Virginia. And whereas James was an extremely valuable player as a junior on the 1998 Schenectady High School Championship basketball that finished with a record of 21-1. James averaged 14 points and 12 rebounds, securing a place on the all-area first team in the 1998 NYS PHSAA all-tournament team. And whereas James forged a stellar collegiate basketball career as a four-year starter at the University of Texas, where he was selected as one of the 15 best Longhorns of all time, becoming only the second player in the history of the school to record 1,000 career points and 1,000 career rebounds. And whereas, as a junior, James led Texas to number 3 ranking in the ESPN/USA Today Final Coaches Poll, and was the 10th leading rebounder in the nation, leading Texas to its first Final Four appearance in 56 years, as the team finished the season with an overall record 26-7. And whereas following his college career, James became the 2004-2005 National Basketball Development League Rookie of the Year. 1 year later, the 2005-2006 NCAA Newcomer of the Year. And whereas James played in 33 NBA games with the Portland Trailblazers, Atlanta Hawks, Philadelphia 76ers, and the Chicago Bulls, in addition to having a successful career playing professionally overseas in Italy, Israel, and Turkey. And whereas upon returning to his hometown of Schenectady, New York, James coached girls basketball at Schenectady High School for 2 years, and is currently the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Manager for Schenectady County. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Schenectady City Council and Mayor Gary R. McCarthy do pause in their deliberations to express our gratitude to James D. Thomas, Jr. for being an excellent ambassador for this city, and to recognize and congratulate him on a successful basketball career and being inducted into the Schenectady School District Athletic Hall of Fame on Monday, September 16th, 2024. I'd like to move the resolution.
May I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Congratulations, the motion is passed.
You're welcome. Well, I do want to say one more thing that he doesn't want to say anything, but I also want you to know that right now he's currently also working on his PhD, so he's just continuing his education. So we're taking a.
I'll be done.
Oh, you got it? Okay, yeah. Oh. Oh, okay, it's crooked.
I just want to say thanks once again.
And what are you saying about your PhD?
What?
You said you're almost there?
I'll be done next October.
Okay.
It's going to be an education. Education.
Any more questions for us?
I just want to say thank you once again.
All right. Thank you very much, and thank you. Appreciate what you do. Thank you, Councilman Mudavaren. Our next out-of-order resolution is a resolution recognizing the musicians of Malwick, and I'd like to call on Councilmember Patrick to present this resolution.
Thank you. Come right here and stand. Thank you. Thank you. Hello. Oh, okay. Hi. Madam President, may I have the
You have the floor.
Well, I'm excited to have representatives from the musicians of Malwick with us this evening, and I'll be reading the resolution. A resolution in recognition and appreciation of the musicians of Malwick. Whereas the musicians of Malwick, a chamber music ensemble with a mission to bring history to life, was founded in 2000 by violinist Anne Marie Barker Schwartz. And whereas the ensemble's core musicians are Anne Marie Barker Schwartz, artistic director and violinist, Norman Thibodeau, flute, Sten Isaacson, guitar, and Andre Laurent O'Neill, cello. And whereas throughout their history, musicians of Malwick has enjoyed residencies at the Schuyler Mansion since 2000 and SUNY Schenectady since 2005, and whereas the ensemble was originally founded to present music that might have been heard in early Albany, but today they've expanded their repertory to include contemporary works, new commissions, operas, and multidisciplinary performances. And whereas the musicians of Malwick performs 5 concert programs per season and have brought hundreds of classical music events to life in unique venues, provided opportunities for numerous up-and-coming and masterful musicians, and are an important piece of the Capital Region. Did I just? Oh, okay. And whereas the ensemble frequently collaborates with local, national, and international artists and organizations from a diversity of backgrounds and artistic styles, including Albany Pro Musica, Glimmerglass Festival, Sand Lake Center for the Arts, SUNY Schenectady, and Union College, among many others. And whereas among their past performances, in 2009, the musicians of Malwick presented George Washington's favorite opera, War Soldier, to capacity audiences at SUNY Schenectady in celebration of New York State's quadricentenary. Did I say that right? I think I did. And whereas in 2018, they commissioned Niskayuna composer Max Kaplan to write an opera on a true episode from the women's suffrage movement, which they performed at Clink in Glenville. And whereas in 2020, they published their first video project and have since produced 16 short films combining musical performance with narrative storytelling. Most recently, the 2023 short film, The Hollow, based on Washington Irving's tale of the Headless Horseman, very timely for Halloween week, starring Stranger Things actor Gabriella Pizzolo, has been featured in several film festivals. A film adaptation of the Robert Burns poem Tam O'Shanter is currently in production, slated for premiere in 2026. And whereas their 2 CDs, Music in the Schuyler Mansion 2017 and Hyde Hall and the Silver Goddess 2021, were both recorded in situ at historic sites, and whereas they've been nominated 5 times for a Capital Region Music Award and have been featured on WMHT and WAMC radio stations, and whereas in October, the Musicians of Malwick began performing its 25th anniversary season. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor, Gary R. McCarthy, and City Council do hereby pause in their deliberations to celebrate the 25th season of the Musicians of Malwick, recognize the diverse talents of its musicians, and show appreciation for their contributions to the cultural arts in Schenectady, New York, and beyond. I'd like to put that motion forward.
I need a second, please. Second by Mr. Farley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, motion passes.
Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. First of all, we're just deeply honored to have this proclamation. I can't really believe it. I can't believe that we've been doing this for 25 years, and it's such a rich historical area, and it's really just a thrill to bring music and history combined to people. And I'm working here with my old high school friend. Norm and I grew up together and came back to the area, and it's wonderful to make music with friends and people who are from this area and who share our passion for the area.
I never expected to come before the city council. And I'm just very grateful. It's like a holiday surprise. Thank you very much.
I'll just add, reiterate what Anne Marie said, that it feels so special to be recognized by our home community. This means more than any other probably thing we've had or been recognized for. So, we're proudly, from Schenectady and love it here and love to play here. I'm not a musician myself, but they love to play here, and I love to be part of it as well. So.
We do marinate ourselves in the artistic history of the area, and it goes into almost every program in some shape or form. So it's very, very gratifying to have that recognized.
We can't thank you enough.
Oh, no, I mean, you add so much to what already, we have such a vibrant music scene in Schenectady, and you guys are just such a big part of it. So thank you for everything that you bring to our residents.
We love doing it.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
very much.
We have 3 public hearings this evening. Just a reminder that the public hearing, time for the public hearing is 4 minutes. So public hearing number 1, establishing a temporary moratorium until February 11th, 2025 on the submission and processing of building permits, certificates of use, and land use approvals of cannabis establishments within the city of Schenectady. I have no one signed up to speak on this public hearing, so I declare public hearing number 1 closed. Public hearing number 2, regarding creating a new section 28-11N of the Schenectady City Code and amending section 228-19 of the Schenectady City Code, vehicle and traffic matters and streets and sidewalks. I have no one signed up to speak to this public hearing, so I declare public hearing number 2 closed. Public hearing number 3, regarding amending sections 138-2C of Article 1, 138-23B of Article 4, 138-43B of Article 8, 138-84H of Article 15, 151-9A of Article 2, 151-9E of Article 2, 167-14D of Article 2, 183-10 12410-10 of Article 2 and 12410-14A of Article 3 of the Schenectady City Code. I have no one signed up to speak to this public hearing, so I declare public hearing number 3 closed. I would ask around for the approval of the minutes of October 15th, 2024. Moved by Mr. Williams, second by Ms. Patrick. All those in favor? Aye. If the clerk could please read any communications and petitions.
Communications presented to the City Council from Monday, October 28, 2024. Under Official, from the Mayor, a list of appointments dated October 28, 2024. Under General, an email from Rosemary Stewart regarding trash being dumped in the East Alley behind Knott Street and Woodward Avenue. And under Petitions, there were none.
Thank you. I call on council members for any committee reports. This time we would have privilege of the floor regarding the legislative agenda. I have no one signed up to speak, so I declare public comment on the legislative agenda closed. I'd ask for approval of the legislative consent agenda. Motion by Mr. Williams, second by Mr. Mudavaren. All those in favor? Aye. We do have one resolution for roll call this evening. If the clerk could please read item number 1.
Item number 1 for final consideration, an ordinance pursuant to Section 36 of the Second Class Cities Law and Article 6 of the Charter of the City of Schenectady, approving and adopting the proposed operating budget for 2025 and authorizing the appropriations therein enumerated.
Need a motion? Moved by Ms. Patrick, second by Mr. Mudavaren. Any discussion on this item? Mr. Williams?
Thank you. So I just wanted to take a moment to just comment on what the budget proceedings kind of represented to me. Definitely in contrast to our discussions last year, I wanted to start off by saying I appreciated everyone's thoughtful dialogue, and I wanted to point out that one of the big takeaways for myself from the Public Safety Committee is how each member around the table understood the importance of fully accepting the proposed budget lines for both the police and fire department. It was a very real understanding, not only from their presentations, but also from the responsiveness in our community to make sure they had the resources that they need to move forward. I know in response to discussions last year, that was a point of contention, but I think as a whole, it's safe to say that we want to ensure that they are well supported, both in the equipment that they have and also in the funding that they request. As we transitioned into conversations regarding city staff and their proposed increases, I would like to highlight that again, if this becomes an ongoing topic of discussion, we did not proceed in any manner that we are not allowed to. We continue these discussions with Corporation Counsel present, and everything that we enacted on was within our legislative ability. Now, as we have the conversations of is it practical or is it pragmatic in response to the mayor and how he manages the city, I think that'll always be a conversation of discussion. But I also would like to highlight within today's agenda, we passed an item that is going to see a market evaluation for many members within City Hall staff, specifically management. So I think there's never a perfect budget, but very much this was one in which there were a number of consolations or compromises, and I'm confident in the budget that we proposed to the city. There are still some ongoing items regarding the responsiveness to ongoing increases to trash specifically, and how we've received a number of emails regarding that. And I'd like to highlight to anyone that's watching or has been passively listening, those discussions are still continuing, so continue to share your thoughts and opinions on the matter. But in regards to the 2025 budget, I look forward to hearing any other comments or concerns from our council members, and hopefully see this go into effect. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Mr. Mutavaren.
Thank you, Madam President. This evening, we're voting on almost $116.7 million in the 2025 budget. And again, I want to commend my colleagues for a outstanding budget hearing. Our department head, the mayor, his staff, and all his staff who participate in the budget hearing. We can always say and echo the same thing from last year into this year. We all should be proud of ourselves that we have turned the page and we're decided to move forward in a positive direction, all of us, and to work for the taxpayer for the city of Schenectady. And we have delivered that in this budget presentation this year, and our work for the last two in getting this budget where it is today. Thank you. So yes, commend everyone for working so hard to bring us here at this point in time with this budget here. And it's not an easy budget. I can recall this is my 11th budget, and I recall, if I'm not mistaken, when I started here, it was about $50 or $60 million we were dealing with at that time, and now it's almost $117 million. So the city have grown tremendously over the last 11 years, and we can just look at the budget and we can testify to that. I just want to highlight some of the changes that we did. Regardless of the size of the budget, this council has only proposed $78,324 in changes, and that has to do with some adjustment that we as a council feel that it was the right thing to do and to make these adjustments, and some of these were correction that we need to address as we go into 2025 and not kick it down the road as into the next year. So some of the one I highlight is that the adjustment that we made was from the deputy registrar salary to the city clerk salary, and that was a correction that was made. It was not an increase on that part. And then the senior center was not funded in the mayor's proposed budget, and that is something all of us are so heartened to support, all of us. So we allocated $40,000 there. And then one of the other senior center is funded by CDBG. So we continue to support our senior center as we go forward into the years to come. And that is something we intend to make permanently into the line into next year's 2026 budget. Then there was another correction from the law department out of grade pay to deal with judgment and claims and some work there in terms of the record access. And then the public safety foundation under the police department, they were asking only for $5,000. That is something that we had talked over the years and support by all council members to fund that $25,000 to the police department and $25,000 to the fire department to help with our community outreach. When we passed the police reform, we talk about outreach, and we are allocating these funds so that they can help with the outreach in our community and to bridge the gap and to work with our community partners to share information and whatever needed. And then also, we also added the anti-racism training of $15,000. That was not in the budget, but it was added. And then there were some small adjustment to a few department head and some other staff. Nothing significant to talk about, and then there were an adjustment to the Deputy Commissioner of Finance and then to the mayor's salary. I want to touch on the mayor's salary because I've been receiving some emails and things like that. This is a correction that we're making. Since 2019, as per the city charter, we as a council have never addressed it properly as per the charter in terms of giving the mayor a raise. And it spells out clearly in the charter here that once we are giving management a raise, the mayor is entitled to that raise, that percentage. What we did last week when we moved the budget is more of a correction from previous years that we didn't address or it wasn't brought to our attention to address it. So what we're doing here is the correction, as I mentioned. So when you look at it at $18,000, it's going back to 2019. The correction has to happen from 2019 to 2025. So yes, it's $18,000, but it's several years of correction that we're making there to address the shortfall. And I just want to kind of address in the mayor's proposed budget in terms of the wage increase. It's $1 per week per unit for non-exempt property. And the exempt property is $1.75 per week for the entire house. And then the mayor's proposed budget called for a 3% tax increase. These things, yes, we talk about increase, and I'm a stickler when it comes to increase in property tax and fees. But at some point, if we are to maintain the service that we're providing currently in the city, we need to address the costs are going up, and we can see that across the entire country, the cost is going up. How do we address that? At this point in time, Schenectady is growing, so we have an obligation to maintain these services as our city grows. And this is the reason why these costs are going up, and they're not going up significantly. 3% property tax and $1.75 or $1 per week will help take us in the next year to address these shortfalls. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay. If clerk could please call the roll.
Are we going to vote now?
Yes, we're going to vote. Unless you wanted to have some discussion, then now we'll vote.
Okay, so I'll make my comments brief. I want to echo a lot of what I heard here tonight with my colleagues. I do appreciate the process for our budget hearings. I think that one testament around the effectiveness of a body is not always when they agree, but how they disagree. And what I want to say is that I know we had some varying, definitely had some varying difference of opinions at the table, but the process itself, I think, really highlighted, our ability to try to, work closer together and keep the people of Schenectady best interests in mind. With that said, I think for me, as the budget is existing right now, there are just a few things that, to me, that I just couldn't get to a place of agreement with some of my council members. Especially in the fiscal position that we're in right now. I think how we find ourselves to do pay increases has to be done with more intentionality than what it was done throughout this process. I also feel that, our youth service lines, being less than 1% of the total overall budget is another area that I just can't get behind right now. I can't support for those reasons. I do want to make clear, not misrepresent what's happening. We as a city do fund lots of other nonprofits and through our community block grant money and other grant funds that we receive to make sure that we are supporting youth in those ways. But even with that consideration made, I just think that I personally cannot support a budget where our youth services line is less than 1% of the budget. That's why I brought forth to my council members to we should at minimum double that budget line, and we did have a lot of support in order to do it, and some of the council members were saying that they support the increase in youth support. However, just like to see it funded through a different funding stream, through some of the ARPA money. Being that I was unable to get that full commitment from the full council guarantee, that's why, that's one of the reasons, probably the second reason why I just can't find myself to support a budget. I think it just sends a wrong message right now with how we got to the raises in our youth services line being less than 1% of our overall budget. Thank you.
All right. If the clerk would, is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? Okay. If the clerk could please call the roll.
Ms. Toro? No. Mr. Farley?
No.
Mr. Mancini?
Yes.
Mr. Mutavaran?
Yes.
Ms. Patrick?
Yes, I'm going to vote yes. I think that I first want to thank the mayor and our finance department and our department heads. I thought that we were presented with a very fair, reasonable budget. I think the presentations were very informative, very educational to us as well, and I appreciated all the work that they put into the budget. And I, too, just wanted to thank my colleagues. Clearly, we had quite a different process this year in coming to making our decisions than we had last year. And I really felt great about the fact that I thought people here around our table, that we collaborated, we communicated, we treated each other with respect, and I wanted to thank you all for that. I thought it was really a good discussion and a good way to be able to come up with the compromises that we did. So I vote yes.
Mr. Williams? Yes. Ms. Porterfield?
Yes, and I just want to just make just to clarify my vote. First of all, I'm excited that we were able to move forward. And I want to thank Mr. Mudavarian for your leadership on this. And I want to thank all of those of you who were able to compromise and get us to this place. And yes, it's decidedly different than last year. And no budget process is perfect. It takes time and effort. It takes people trying to see things from other people's viewpoints. As I always like to say, how you see it depends on where you sit. So overall, it's like I said, it's not a perfect budget, but we were having a deficit. That's just a frank way of saying that. And so I think that this council, the majority of this council, worked together to put forward and pass a budget that will, keep our city moving forward. And I know that no one wants a tax increase. But sometimes, especially with the cost of things going up, that is what happens. So I just, again, want to thank the council, thank Mr. Mudavarian for his leadership, and thank all of you. And moving forward, the commitments that we made in terms of funding, especially, let me speak to the youth program. I believe that everyone was on board with that, and I just want to no one to have the takeaway that we're not interested in our youth, because we are. We just have to figure out different ways to make those things happen. So I would like to vote yes on this. So the motion passes 5-2. Right, this time I have privilege of the floor regarding general city business. I have no one signed up to speak, so I declare the public comment of city business closed. Any miscellaneous business of the council? Ms. Patrick?
Just wanted to mention that today is National First Responders Day. I know Chief Marino is here from our wonderful Schenectady Fire Department. I just wanted to publicly thank both our Schenectady Police Department and our Schenectady Fire Department, and celebrate you guys all today on First Responders Day.
Any other council members? Mayor?
Thank you, Madam President. Appreciate the council's deliberation and time on the budget. It is First Responders Day. It's always much better to see the fire chief sitting here at a council meeting than having him out actually managing an active situation within the city. Also, Council President Porterfield did a presentation. Mr. Thomas, great career there. Again, one of those proud, exciting stories in Schenectady. I just got word that Matt Daly was just sworn in as the president of the Northeast Regional PGA Association. So again, part of our golf staff, again, bringing recognition and appropriate stature to this community. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. And just want to, the council members, we just had a presentation on the Schenectady Clean Heat Tour. So just want to remind folks about it. It sounds like very exciting and a way to improve the comfort in our homes and reduce our energy costs. So there's one today between 7 and 9. If you're listening now, you've missed most of it. But there will be additional presentations on October 29th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Mount Pleasant Library, which is located at 1036 Crane Street. And on October 30th, operations and maintenance and workforce opportunities, and that will be on October 30th from 6 to 8 p.m., and that will be at Steinmetz Park, which is 2114 Lenox Road in Schenectady. And finally, I just want to remind everyone, it is Halloween is this week, so be safe out there and be careful. There's a couple trunk or treats, so whatever you're doing out there, be careful. And I'm sorry, there's one other thing. I just want to offer my condolences to Mark Thompson, who comes here sometimes to pray, but he lost his mom. So just want to offer my condolences to him. And he's also, I think, a member of one of our committees and just a person who does a lot in our community. So condolences to him, his family. And with that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn. Second by Mr. Williams. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. We're adjourned.